Three, two, one.
You ready?
You're listening to the Real Pineapple Podcast Network. Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for listening. This is the Real Pineapple. This is Hunter here. Hope you guys are having a great Tuesday. Good start to your week. So I want to go ahead and talk to you guys here about this movie that I saw that I'm going to be honest, this won't be on my worst of list, but if I had a top 10 most disappointed list, this might be number one. At least currently probably number one. I'm talking about White Boy Rick, which came out this past weekend. And I gotta be honest, guys, I was so excited about this movie because I'm a huge Matthew McConaughey fan. Mr. Alright. I think the guy is just, I think he's a really just genuinely talented actor. And while he has been some stuff recently that I have not been all that crazy about, he's still one of my favorite actors. And whenever he is in something, I go, oh, okay, that gets me excited. He was just in Cubo and the Two Strings a couple years ago, and that's still one of my favorite movies that I've seen recently. But between The Dark Tower, which he was not great in, and Gold, which wasn't great, Free State of Jones, which wasn't great. I know Interstellar was only about 4 years ago, but he's had some misses recently. I never saw Sing, which I know he did a voice in, but overall, I think what's so frustrating about this movie is the pacing. This movie feels like it is just all over the place, and it can't commit to a tone or really commit to any of the stuff that it sets up. So, kind of giving the Cliff Notes version of this. So Matthew McConaughey, he plays I'm gonna butcher his Richard Wersch, probably Wershe, Senior. So Rick's dad. And he's pushing assault weapons. He's selling AK-47s with silencers, by the way, which, is a huge no-no. And one thing I did really enjoy is the interplay between Rick and his dad, McConaughey. I thought that it did a good job of establishing the fact that Matthew McConaughey's character, he's kind of a loser. He's just trying to make ends meet and go ahead and do the best he can to support his family, but he's really not good at it. And Rick, in many ways, has to be the adult, which is never how it's supposed to be. And they're also growing up in 80s Detroit, which is probably one of the most difficult times as far as being in a major city. So what's interesting about this is the interplay, not just between them, but how Rick's world kind of starts to expand as the movie goes ahead and gains steam. The problem with the movie is that it felt, and I was sitting there watching it thinking, God, if this was maybe a 4-part miniseries, and this was maybe each episode is 90 minutes, it would be an absolute masterclass, because I think the movie needs at least an additional 2 hours to let everything just breathe. And the problem is that it's trying to cram so much into just an under 2 hour film that it feels like they give you the cliff notes of this case, but really don't give you the whole scope of it. The kid who plays Rick, what I'll say about him is I don't know how I feel about him. And I mean that in the sense of, I think he could be a really good actor, but how do I put this? I don't think they give him enough to do, even though he's the focal point. I just don't think he gets to show enough range for me to really determine if he's a good actor or not. I think he has some screen presence, and I think he plays cocky really well. But outside of that, that's about all the movie gives you, which in itself is just kind of flabbergasting when you think about the amount of emotions he's supposed to go through. There's a point where he gets shot, and I'll give the movie a lot of credit for this. I genuinely jumped out of my seat because it felt like it came from nowhere when he got shot. But he gets in with these gangsters, and he's supposed to go ahead and prove that he's down and that he can go ahead and move cocaine, I believe is what it is. I'm totally blanking. But when he goes to do that, these gangsters are basically going, well, we don't just let anybody in our group. In the next scene, oh yeah, you're down. You're white boy Rick. You're in. And I went, well, it feels like there was at least a 10-minute, gap in between there to show why he's down and why he's cool. And yet the movie just goes, it's fine. So things like that just keep happening with this movie. And I think that is what was driving me just insane about it, is that I want this to be American Gangster with a kid if you substitute Frank Lucas out for White Boy Rick. That's really what I wanted. I wanted to get that sort of gangster flick, and it felt like this movie was really okay with settling and not and really not trying that hard. And I think that in itself frustrates me even more because McConaughey's performance feels wasted. And if you just take out the performances in this movie, you'd probably have an Oscar contender. McConaughey, he's great as Rick's dad. Jennifer Jason Leigh's in here as a cop. She's great. And she kind of plays that almost that Vic Mackey role as far as being a cop that's somewhat corrupt, but maybe she's realizing that she's pretty terrible. Paperboy from Atlanta is in this, who I love this actor, Brian Tyree Henry. He's in here as Officer Jackson because Rick ends up selling basically ends up becoming a narc for the Detroit PD, or no, it's FBI, pardon me. And he and him and Officer Jackson, Brian Tyree Henry, they end up having some good back and forth, and Rick is just such a mouthy little motherfucker, as any 16-year-old pretty much is in general. This is Richie Merritt's debut in a film, and that's why I'm not going to be too hard on him, because I really do think that there's more to this kid, and I think he could have a bright future, but he's got to be able to show some range. I think what's frustrating is that he goes from being a drug dealer, but you never feel like he's a drug kingpin. It always feels like he's kind of just hanging around almost, and that he almost falls into drugs by happenstance. And there's a point where he ends up getting this girl pregnant, so he's a dad, but they address the kid maybe once or twice, and it just feels like there's all these things that they start bringing up with Rick, but they won't fully commit to, and I think that in itself is just incredibly infuriating. It's just it's a wasted film. And what I will say is, towards the end, I'm going to say spoilers on this because this case happened forever ago. There's a point where Rick basically gets 30 years in jail, and I believe he's 17 when he ends up going to jail. And that is powerful, because when it does happen, you go, oh wow, that's insane. And he's very much led to believe one thing, but he gets hornswoggled basically. And I think that there is a level of sympathy you can feel for the kid, because he is just kind of like trying to make things. He's really just trying to be the dad that his dad, McConaughey, good grief, that McConaughey can't be. I think that itself allows him to be a somewhat sympathetic character, but it's frustrating. It's all get out, because you see these points where if they just spent another 45 minutes and just stretch it out a little, this would be something that would be probably getting Oscar buzz and award buzz. I want to talk about Belle Powley, who ends up playing Rick's sister Dawn, and she has a drug subplot where she's just on all these different things, and she can't kick her habit, and so her and McConaughey get to have some great scenes, including a hilarious opening sequence to the whole film that really filled me with hope, and I went, "Oh, this might be good." And then then the hope quickly dies. I her performance, it's right up there with McConaughey's. I think McConaughey is the best thing about this movie. I think everyone else is playing catch up to him, but the problem is you don't get a lot of McConaughey. You don't get a lot of her. It's really more about, as the movie title shows, White Boy Rick, and he just doesn't get the depth that's needed to go ahead and carry this film to the heights that it needs to go. So in that sense, it's insanely frustrating because I wanted to like this way more than I did, and I could only like it to a certain point because it just wouldn't allow me to go ahead and like it more because it wasn't giving me enough. So I know some of you are probably listening thinking, "Oh, he's going to get us a D." It's not that bad. There is enough here, I think, that if you rented this, you'd go, "Okay, yeah, this was good for a rental." But I paid full price to see this, and I got out of that theater at midnight-ish, if not a little later, and I really left the theater thinking that was not worth the $10.75, or it was at least $10 that I paid to go ahead and see this. So, I mean, for me, I'd probably give this a solid C. I think if you red box this, you would be pretty content with your purchase. But overall, it is a huge, huge wasted opportunity, and there are way better gangster films out there. Hopefully, I would love to see HBO or and actually, I think another reason why I didn't like this as much is because there's an FX show called Snowfall, which if you haven't seen, I highly recommend. And that show is about the crack epidemic, and it's basically so similar to White Boy Rick, and it's done so much better than what this movie does. So, disappointing for sure. Not a complete loss, but definitely a disappointing movie to say the least. So, guys, have you seen White Boy Rick? Let me know. Let us know what you thought in the comments below. You can follow us on SoundCloud, iTunes, and Google Play Music at The Real Pineapple. You can like us on Facebook at The Real Pineapple. Follow yours truly on the Twitter at JHunterRealPineapple. You can follow Colin on Twitter at The Real O'Neill. That's REEL O'Neill. And you can follow Scott on Twitter at Nearman the First, and like us on Facebook at The Real Pineapple. Guys, thank you so much for listening. We'll have reviews up this weekend for the clock. Oh my God, the House with the Clock in the Walls, I believe is what it's called, with Jack Black and Kate Blanchett. Really stoked for that. And then we will have a review up for the trailer for Captain Marvel, which I am stoked to go ahead and talk about. Guys, thank you so much for listening. We'll talk to you soon.